only have subscribers be allowed to watch. So viewers, when they come on, will be ranked. Right here is whether or not you have viewers. You'll come through, you'll have a lot, and then it'll go to where you'll have none. It comes in waves.
Right.
And some will stick, and usually their names and usernames are right here. So we have a goal of, I don't know what these are, 5 roses. I don't understand all that. But right now what it's doing is it's just pushing the algorithm out there that's saying that we're live. So as people start scrolling through their TikTok on the page, we'll end up showing up that we're live. In the evening, it seems like on TikTok there's a lot of lives. Everybody from playing guitars, people sitting in cemeteries or whatever and doing ghost hunting. And then I can also push it out. I don't know if I was able to do that, or I had to end up going a different way. This is the other pop out for the. That is. See right now there's 7 on right now. They're live. But they'll come through, and some will rarely stay, but then some won't. I can't do that this way. Seems a pain in the ass, but I still have to copy the link. So let's see if anybody sticks. Like I said, a lot of people, as you scroll, you'll come across people's lives, and a lot of people keep right on going.
Mm-hmm.
But then generally some people will know some people, and they'll come on, they'll stay, and then we'll just get started. But see, the volume seems to be moving. So running a little late as always, but I was always late going to school too. So these folks here are on, and they'll come and go, and then eventually, so you'll recognize people who stick. So see how much they come through. You'll have 6, and then you'll have whatever. So anyway, this is Garage Therapy, and we are. Oh, I think I know that one. It's hard to tell for sure. So these are ranked. So these people who are on. These are just people coming through. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody going to stick. That's what's the hardest part, is to see when they're, they stay. I think I know that person. So this is Garage Therapy. To my left is the infamous and notorious Pain Train, and he has almost 40 years of club life in the vest. To my right is Hammer. As I mentioned in the promo earlier, he had leadership position of 10 years with a 1% club up north, and that's as far as I go with that. I'm going to reiterate the fact that we don't mention club names on here. We're not going to, if it's a guest or a co-host and they want to represent their club, I have no problem with that. This platform is not about us versus them. It's not about we're better than them or F the other team. I guess I can say fuck the other team. It's not about that. It's about kind of just a conversation, and if nothing else, building a bridge. We all know that sometimes, clubs, they peak and they valley. Sometimes they're really good friends, and then something pops off, and it might be years that they have issues, they have contention, and then, then they go back to holding hands. That's one thing we didn't do in a club that I was in, was try not to get involved in people's beefs, because even clubs that have been around for decades and decades, they go through highs and lows, and eventually most clubs prefer peace, because it just keeps the feds are the only ones who win during a war. So they end up back together, holding hands, dating or whatever, and then you like an idiot. It's like when the dude's old lady, she's all cheating, lying. You're like, oh, you're a bitch. And next thing you know, they're getting married in like 3 months. You look like an idiot. But so for about 12 years, I wrote a column up north in the Great Lakes region that was widely accepted by a lot of the top 7 and beyond 1% clubs, because it was just a teaching measure. I was able to pull it off and maybe offer some insight for people that without ever throwing anyone's name out there, because that's not what it's about. There are some platforms I know that they kind of get a Jerry Springer thing, man. They're just like, well, did you hear this? And so did that. And this club got indicted. Look, man, you don't talk about other clubs, man. Again, I was taught that, the only club that should come out of your mouth in public is your own. you got things to discuss behind closed doors, then that's understandable. But you don't run anybody else's club name out, in public. But people, do what they want to do. That's just me. So Hammer here again to my right, he's helping to join. It's a lot easier for us to have a conversation. We can just sit here and bullshit, man, and rap. So we were talking Monday's podcast, which took me, let's see, I don't know, about 30 hours since Monday to try to edit. I had no idea how hard it is to edit that raw data and then put it into clean clips to produce for like a 28-minute or 30-minute podcast to drop and Spotify and the channel for YouTube. But man, it's like everything else, man. It's hard until you get used to it. I hate computers for being in IT for 30 years, but so I'm still working on that. So our plan is, so Monday night I had Goon and Mr. Leisure, who are from, a couple of different clubs, and then they're going to co-host, and we just kind of discuss the topic. And the topic that we discussed was, I had brought up primarily last week, and you guys are, anyone who can comment is welcome to jump in, and give your 2 cents too. But what's your definition of brotherhood? And okay, so brotherhood in or out of a club scenario. I've got brothers that I've known for, I don't know, since high school. I just happened to grow up in an area where a lot of people stayed, and I've known friends for 35 years or more, or 40. And yeah, I mean, it had nothing to do with the club life. But then when it comes to the club, what is your expectation? What's your definition of brotherhood in your club? And then what's your expectation? Because I always saw it as everyone has their value. You might have a really good accountant, which we did, who may not be a heavy hitter, and he's not the right guy, but he's a hell of it. He don't steal from you. He pays the bills on time. Hey, Pritch, unless you want to co-host, shut the fuck up. Down here's the text. I know it's hard to keep control of this damn board. I don't know why this shit's everywhere, but this is the text box down here where they can text. If I'd known, I would never have let him in my club because he's a real pain in my ass. He took over as chapter boss for the chapter when I was up in Ohio before I came down here. But I mean, what's your expectation? So you have dues payers, but there are some people, including my own club brothers down here, who said that's bullshit. That's not, doing the minimum is not acceptable. And I always said, if you want them to do more than raise the bar, but don't set a minimal expectation that's good enough and then bitch about people reaching it. Not everyone's going to give 7 days a week and their whole lives on it. But they still pay dues, and they still may, invite some people over, spend some money at the clubhouse and stuff, right? Yeah. So what do you think?
Well, not everyone can put as much time in, and that's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, the guy on TikTok, your favorite biker, he had some commenters, and a lot of times when you get enough commenters, you can go back and react to their comments. And the guy was saying, I thought it was job in first or fifth. Well, it is. I mean, even the 1% club, man, it's still, if you don't work, it's not cheap being in a club at all. And if you don't, if your family's not taken care of and your payment, you ain't getting no paycheck, you ain't going to be there very long. No, it's not cheap.
I remember a brother saying, he can't afford $15 a week? Like $15 a week.
Maybe not,
Cost me over $100 a week to be in school.
Yeah, I don't know where you go.
By the time because you travel every day.
Yeah. I mean, we rode.
$50 is not going to buy you a tank of gas.
No, $15 didn't pay my tolls up and down the Garden State Parkway.
Well, and how much do people want? I don't mind helping a brother out. We had one in a club that Rich and I was in prior to the last one, and does a transition, and somebody who's always down on their luck, man, but they were always not making a big effort. I don't mind passing the hat, but I'm not gonna do it every month.
Well, that other problem is there's some guys that are just always down on their luck.
That's just it.
And I mean, I was always in it. If I had it, a brother needed it. If I could give it,
Mr. Leisure,
they got it.
Mr. Leisure's on. He's a guest here. Well, for some reason, it's shown up here, but down here's where the text. I don't know why the text messages are down here. So it's popped out. We're still trying to figure this dashboard out. This is where they text us. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out this damn dashboard, Mr. Leisure. But
Well, I actually really strict for myself definitions of brotherhood. Um, and I think first and foremost, what I've always tried to do and trying to instill in people is number one, anybody who's going to be a brother, uh, you got to start out with service. Anyone who's going to be eventually, you don't want to join a club just to do the bare minimum, just to be everyday under the radar guy. You want to excel in everything you do. So, in doing that, number one thing you have to do is you have to be willing to serve your brother. And it really, I know this is not a religious show, but it has religious principles. We all, as bikers, have used the word righteous many times,
No
right?
question.
Well, one of the righteous principles that we have maintained of your real true brother is you have been your brother's keeper. You live to serve that brother. If he got a problem, it's your problem.
You go to your brother without thought, without hesitation.
That's right. You do it without thinking.
let me just ask real quick, Mr. Leisure and or Pritch, shoot me a chat in here just to make sure that you can hear all three of us okay.
And the thing about it is the biblical principle is this: he who will be the greatest among you should be servant of all. That's a great principle.
Well, and that's part of what I think is wrong with a lot of the club life today. And I say that all the time is that the leaders, to me, and I tried to lead by example,
Yeah.
B, by good example, not bad example, but and B, to be a servant to the people. The leader is the first volunteer, and you don't see a lot. Well, what I have just seen is the same reason that Lightning said that they went to created MCs in the '60s. My old man was because they were this kind of like down their luck, and you had nothing individually, but if you worked at a pizza place and she worked at a grocery store, get the dent cans together, we had something, and that made it a unity before they even started riding the motorcycles. But now it's taken over by narcissists. I mean, literally narcissists and bullies, man, and that's all. That's what I've seen. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases.
In a lot of cases, it's become monetary.
It's completely.
That
Monetary.
politics. I mean, you can go back in history. You can look at great leaders like Colonel Hal Moore. Colonel Hal Moore had a saying that he lived by. He said, "My boots will be the first boots on the battlefield, and my boots will be the last ones off. I'm going to lead my men by example, and I'm not leaving unless all them leave with me." That's how you lead.
That's how you lead.
You're a servant of your people, and that's how you set an example, and that's how people you gain loyalty. People want
And
to
respect.
serve one and respect.
Today they're demanding respect, but they don't earn it.
Exactly right, brother. That's exactly right.
It's if you have to demand it, you'll never have it.
It was difficult
Right.
at times. We had allegedly may or may not had submissions, and we went, and a lot of these were being armchair quarterbacks from 1,000 miles away, which is ridiculous. But that's what happens when you have elitists in charge of your club and narcissists that want to tell you how to do things, and they don't trust you. You either trust me or you don't. Obviously, the body of the club does, or they wouldn't have elected me in the position I was in. But they can't mandate and dictate. Do this and do. You're not here, man. I'm trying to keep people safe. But I got off the bike. I'm like the first one at the fence, and my state warlord and my bodyguard was going, and Fish was the state VP. It was also a nomad. And they're like, get the hell away from what the hell is wrong? I mean, I'm the first one at the fence. Like, boss, they want to cut the head off the snake, man. You're a prize, to be had. So get away. Let us do our job. But it's so hard to not just said jump up there in the front.
What today?
Thanks,
what
Leisure.
you have, what you see is you see the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's a problem.
Probably not in all cases. I don't know every club. Obviously, there's a lot of clubs out west that you would be more familiar with. That I lived in LA, but that was way back when. Clubs that I've known for a long time, though, they've migrated to something I don't recognize.
Exactly right, brother. I mean,
And I get it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. Maybe you should just be an egregious dirty biker. I don't think that's necessary to be in a club, but the self-serving, has got to go, and the narcissism and the all about me. And if you're in a position, because you want it so badly, or that guy wants it so badly, unless he's like a big idea man, has dropped a bunch of ideas on you, I'd question why does he want it so bad. Most of the guys I dealt with when we ran for national positions and stuff, we really didn't want to run. I felt an obligation to run. There's one guy down here that I love to death. He's a knucklehead, and he never ran a state boss, but he had a long time. He started young, and I was like, man, you need to step up. It's your turn. And he's like, I don't want to do it. I said, look, I don't want to do it either, but I feel like it's an obligation to your nation. You're the most qualified. So when that, as long as you can, work or kids don't interfere, you should, But then there are those who want it so damn bad that they can't stand it, and they're generally the worst at it because they're in it for themselves.
that's exactly right.
What Leisure said, what Train is saying is so very true. Set the example to get others to follow. Well, and that goes both ways. When you set a bad example, that's why I couldn't get to one of those dumbasses down here. Was that when you're fucking late 15 minutes to a run and you're the guy in charge, you set a bad example. You're not respecting your brothers. Look, you are not better than them. Your patch says the same as theirs does on his back. You are fulfilling a position. So I have an obligation to you to donate my time or to volunteer to serve you. It's not about prestige and fucking power. In fact, usually it comes with a marker. People trying to kill you.
Definitely.
Only 3 times. He's such a nice guy. I don't know why.
What I've seen over the years, you've got 2 different kinds of brothers. You got brothers who are your brothers because you wear the same path. And then you've got love brothers who are not just your brothers, but they're your very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you develop a relationship, a very close relationship with that person, and a friendship that with that patch or without that patch, they'll still be your friend.
If it takes the patch for you to be a brother, you're not a brother.
That's exactly right, brother. That's a very good point. Friendship is very, very important because, look, if I'm going to lay my life down for you, I'm going to lay my life down for you because I have love for you.
Exactly.
Beyond that path, I have love for you, your family, your kids. I care about your livelihood. I care about everything about you. So, because you're my friend. And, how many times have you heard, especially in the 1% world, that once that passes off, they're not brothers anymore. They don't exist.
That's the rule.
They don't exist.
And that's ridiculous because you'll have somebody like Tabasco saying narcissist and has done things wrong.
Oh yeah.
And he did things wrong. So he put you out.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden, yesterday I loved you, today I don't.
Hey, Pritch, buy me some roses.
And they
Are you still? Pritch ain't even on here.
And that's to me that's there's so much problem in the clubs today that's what's going on.
They put out these self-serving rules and regulations to support their bad decisions.
Right.
And they make themselves look good by stomping on your neck.
Yes.
And they want everybody to follow their bad example.
Yep.
And if you want to keep your patch today, you don't have a choice. You got to follow.
Yep. Well, I don't understand. What is it that puts these guys in power? I mean, just a lot of people that I guess don't understand how to judge a character of a man. because they get elected into these positions, and they're known, not good for the club people. They may have been caught, with their hand in a cookie jar. They're narcissistic. But yet they still get elected. It blows my mind.
It's not an election; it's an appointment.
Sort of. I mean, but they're elected. Well, our club, we voted.
Our club, you were appointed.
Well, that's right. You were appointed. I did talk to when I talked to
Our
the
club,
leadership.
our club.
I was told that. I said, well, that's kind of weird. I was told that by a guy down here, and he said, a top guy. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, no, we appoint. We don't elect. I go, wow, Rod. I mean, not everything is a democracy. I understand that, but I feel like then you have the ultimate responsibility. If you put the wrong guy in charge, it comes down on your ass. But that doesn't seem to be how it works either. You put the wrong people in charge, and then they take the blame.
Because many times the guy in charge is the wrong person in charge, who puts more of the wrong people in charge.
But it always seems to me like they're winning. It's like those are the guys that are winning, and because they're robbing, raping, pillaging, getting people.
Shane and I talked about this earlier.
What?
That the righteous will suffer.
I know, isn't that ridiculous?
And it's been that way as long as I can remember. You'll lose 10 to 15. Nobody knows how many good brothers.
Oh, at least.
Before the guy at the top who need to be put out gets put out.
Well, there's no doubt about that.
No question at all.
If you look at MCs today, you're old timer if you made it 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
If you made it 4 to 5 years, you've been around probably longer than most of the guys in your chapter.
Oh, definitely.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
Because all the 10, 15, 20-year members, 40 and 50-year members, are either dead or I can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
Because it turned into something it was never intended to be.
And it has been. It's pandemic because it's not any one nation. Because I know guys in other 1% clubs that I may have served with, or maybe even I brought them up in the industry way back in the day, who went on and earned their own, who left just shy of retirement. I'm like, what? He said, I left. Oh, you did what? He's like, I said, aren't you have your years in? He's like, I'm about 9 months. I go, you have that many years? You're gonna leave? He said, I can't stay another day, man. He goes, it's that bad. And I didn't know it was that bad, which was just as bad as where we was,
And we had guys reach their, now of recent years, they put the 10-year you can retire.
Yeah.
You retired when you were dead back in the day.
Oh,
well, I mean,
exactly
yeah.
right. There was no retirement.
Now they put, once you get 10 years. And I got guys that hit 10 years that say, okay, I'm retiring, I'm out. You're a young guy. You're 45 years old. And you're going to retire?
About 15 leisure.
Can't take
yeah. Well, 15 is where the club I started in changed. They were at 10 and they went to 15 for retirement. And it depends on what your definition of retirement is. The club where I retired from had some set years and had some different rules. If you retired at 10, you could do this or that. If you retired at 15, you could maybe do something a little bit different. If you stayed on for X number of years, what retirement also meant was after a certain number of years, you didn't have to pay the monthly dues anymore. You didn't have to pay your way into the parties. You were an honored guest because you had those years in it. That may be 10 or 15 years. But the guys that I spent most time with down here when I moved here, the reason I moved over here was the 3 oldest guys in the nation with some of the longest wearing patch. Mr. Black had the longest wearing patch in our nation. He started when he was 17. He had 49 years in it when he got cancer and died within 3 weeks. But I moved over here specifically because I wanted to spend every minute with them if I could. If we hit it off, and we did, because I wanted to learn. Their knowledge is going to go someday. I didn't know it was going to go that quick. Now, 2 of those 3 have passed on, and one's a piece of shit. He always was, it turns out, but I just didn't know it at the time. But It was important to care. I feel like that my requirement or my gift to them would be their legacy, which is he had 49 years in a patch, was to take everything he taught me and pass it forward. That's how the code stays alive.
I don't see anybody's legacy being alive anymore. I don't think the new guys coming into the clubs
Rare.
Have they don't
been taught right.
Well, they don't have the desire to know the history and the honor that these guys that you came in and you started this club in, and what you sacrificed,
Well, I
for the
think it
club.
all ties into something we were talking about on the way over here. Is that the newer generation today are a generation that feels entitled
Yes,
to everything.
no question.
They're entitled to their past. They're
Very,
entitled to respect.
Coon.
They're entitled to everything that we back in the day had to earn.
Correct.
And we had to earn
Yes.
it the hard way. It wasn't easy. None of
No.
prospecting hanging around.
Well, that's just it. I mean,
was never easy.
I mean, to be part of the club I was in, you were 100% that club, not 99%.
Oh yeah,
You were 100% that club.
that's right.
You know, it used to be, it used to be bro, bike. You know, your dog was more important than your old lady. You didn't, the club was first and foremost over anything.
Absolutely.
For the first 5 years, I was with my fiance who passed away. I was at a national mandatory on her birthday. For 5 years we were together.
we had
And it, I missed nothing because of the club.
well, yeah.
I mean, I missed everything because of the club, but I did not miss any club event because of anything else.
We had a guy attend a mandatory, and we had a format that you could pay a fine and not attend because not everyone could. But we had to have a mechanism for that. If they had to work overtime, well, they bitch, well, I got to work. Well, good, because the first 4 hours you're going to pay, you use that to pay your fine because you made this obligation. It's not, we didn't surprise you with this. You knew this coming in when you joined.
You go back to guys old school, like 20, 25, 30, 40 years in. All they can tell you, they can all tell you about how many businesses they lost, how many jobs they lost, how many girlfriends and wives they lost, how many of their kids you haven't talked to them in years and years and years because they weren't there for something of they sacrificed everething.
Well, I've got,
And
I was
today,
definitely in the doghouse a few times.
today there's
Yeah.
no sacrifice at all.
But she's like, I didn't mind when you go to the club, and I was gone a lot. I mean, I was gone. I mean, Friday to Sunday night or Monday, for the last several years, many. And she didn't bother. And then on the phone, and you're busy all week in leadership. But I don't know. A lot of things that are stated as, I don't know, the code or, not protocol. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe it is protocol. I don't know when they came about. We had shit in our nation that was like 60 some years old, and they was like, well, you had to have the probate, had to have a poem or some song, probate song. You got to. Well, I never heard that. I never heard that where I came up, and I came up with the third state that was ever settled. And I knew that chapter where I was born since I was born. I mean, my dad had cousins that were members, and the old school guys. I never heard that. Where'd this come from? Who made this up and where? You know what I mean? But like down here in Florida, they were staunch. Well, you had to do this and know that. Where did you pick this up at? And who said? The old man's like wearing a cut in a car, in a cage. Never put a cage over your vest. Never get in a vehicle with your cut on. Says who? Where do you get that from? Because the old man says that was never even discussed. Because I don't remember if we did or we didn't. Where if we got in a vehicle, that was like not protocol. When did that come about? And who made that up? And why is it now protocol? Or whose protocol is it? Old ladies wore cuts and vests back in the day. I got pictures of my mom wearing the patch. There was other 1% clubs that their old ladies wore the patch. At some point, they changed it. Well, just because they decided not to, does that mean that no one can now? Who says they set the standard?
A lot. There's very little in writing.
Right.
Very little in writing.
Yeah. But just like when people say, "Oh, that's against protocol to get in a vehicle," the old man's like. And in fact, when we were in Columbus, they the club that I was in, it's a international, which one, but anyway, we had a problem where we had some knuckleheads in our club that maybe the LE was looking for. Cops were being basically a dick, and they were taking our patch as evidence in an ongoing investigation.
Yeah, well, they've been doing that forever.
So if you had to run to the store, like on a beer run from the clubhouse, our boss said, wear your vest and put your coat on over top of it in your cage because they can't take it off of you. Now, if it's in the trunk or laying in the back seat, they got to really have reason to take it off of you and search you. But for some reason, they had no problem snatching it out of your. One guy lost it was in the trunk because he didn't want to lose it. So they put it in the trunk of his car. Then go into this beer run, so they're not in a cage, and it got pulled over, and they took it. It was part on it, but it was on him. They didn't ever take it off of.
It's
So,
funny 'cause, like, not really anything pertaining to that, but like when I came in, the most
Razor says there
important
are unwritten
thing,
rules.
the only most important thing was your cut. That was more important than your life. And
Oh yeah,
I bet for the first year when I was home, I had mine locked in the safe. Today, I see guys walk into a bar and throw them